Okay, so this is a Moreton Island trip, if any of you want to watch. This is us being dropped off via ferry on the east side of the island, just above the resort. We come down the ramp. I was in full drive high here, and we'd let our tyres down to about 15 psi. We're going to quickly overtake this idiot in his Tarago. No idea how he's got that thing on the sand. We're coming up the east side of the map, so you're going to see us coming up to Cowan here. That guy's going to pull into his campsite, and we're up at Ben Ewa, so we're at the top east side. There's plenty of rainwater washouts all around the island. It's where, when it rains, you'll get a ton of rainwater coming out of the island, going out to the ocean. Usually get one of those about every half a K up the beach. They tend to die down when it hasn't rained in a while. When we got there, it had just finished raining, and we got a couple of sunny days, luckily. This is us turning into our campsite here, and we're going to be the first site on the right. The plan was straight away was to dump as much weight out of the car as we could, because we were carrying a lot of weight. So we quickly pulled over and quickly set up a tent and just dropped everything into the tent. Just dumped all the weight out of the car that we could, and then went and saw the island. You see our pass on the tent there. You have to have a pass on your windscreen for full drive permit, and you have to have a pass on your tent for your camping permit. There is one shop on the island, but most of the things that you're going to have there, you're going to have to bring yourself. There is like a small convenience store on the island that's very overpriced. You should avoid shopping there at all costs. It's very expensive. Coming up another big rainwater washout. Trying to time it with the waves, so I don't get too much salt water all up under the car. By about the second day at the island, I wasn't worried about salt water anymore. Another rainwater washout. This is the first time I've got to take the car on a decent full drive trip since we bought it, so I was very excited. The car actually did really well. It's a 2016 Toyota Hilux. Waiting for this patrol to turn in. Those patrols are really nice too. They just don't hold their value as well. I was actually looking at those as well. The only cars that really hold their value really well in Australia is anything Toyota, Land Cruiser, Hilux, things like that. Crossing the rainwater. Got a bit of beach water on that one. Turning in. When the tyres are low PSI, you kind of want to avoid sharp turns so your tyre doesn't come off the rim. This is a bypass to get to Bulwer, I believe. Bulwer Shopping Centre, the little convenience store. We've got the police on the island.
You want to sit on the chair?
Hey! Oh, careful! Hey, what are you doing? You okay?
Ollie was excited to get out of the car, stretch his legs. That was the shop that we just stopped in at, and this is going to be the inland tracks. There's no roads on the island at all. This is as close to the road as you'll get. So this place is just amazing for four-wheel driving. It's just non-stop four-wheel driving on the beach or inland tracks and things like that. And if you're going to go to Moreton Island, you definitely take a capable four-wheel drive. Some of the cars you see people take there is just insane. The island is a mix of either rainforest or desert, and you get stretches like this where it's just big, long, open forest or desert, or I don't know what you'd call this, but it's like sand but foresty at the same time. I don't know. Forest track. This is dropping down onto the beach on the west side of the island. This drop was actually pretty scary. It's about a 2-meter drop straight down onto the beach, and it actually sucked me to the left there, and we dug in. That one was a bit scary. That was a little bit dicey. And we were actually fighting the high tide at the moment. We'd left it a little bit late. We got to the island at about 10 a.m. and high tide was coming in. And you're not supposed to travel these parts at high tide, so we're kind of trying to rush here and quickly get off the beach before the tide comes in, because you can get cut off. I think I'm getting directions to the inland track off these guys. Yeah. Yeah, I think they just let us know that the inland track is right here. You want to quickly get off this beach at high tide because you can get caught out. And lots of cars have been sunk at Moreton Island. Lost to the ocean. Big head of salt water there. All up under the car. And as you see, at high tide, that water's going to come right up to that sand on the right there. And this whole beach is going to be underwater. So if you're moving on high tide, you've got to be really quick to try and beat before it gets to the very top. We were cutting it really close here. This is a little bit silly. Oh, that's a lot of salt water under the car. Windscreen wipers on. And obviously we stopped and had a look at the beach and messed around a little bit, of course. Probably not a smart idea. Yeah, all this is underwater at high tide. And we probably had about an hour and a half left. Probably close to an hour. And we're trying to find the bypass to head through the center to get back out to our side of the island on the east side. Or the west side, sorry. We're on the east side now. Another rainwater washout. This is fresh water, so that stuff's fine under the car. If anything, that cleans the bottom of the car out, going through those washouts. racing against the current here. It's already washed up on the shore there. Yeah, so we're gonna ask these guys for directions. And thankfully they're gonna tell us that our track is right here. So we're gonna be able to get off this beach right in time to avoid high tide. There's a lot of wildlife out there. There's all sorts of stuff. We even had a whale wash up out front of our camp. I'll see if I can put a photo of that on the screen now. That was pretty crazy. So this is a little track, kind of like a little bypass right before our campsite, so you don't have to travel along the beach at high tide. There's plenty of these all over the island. At low tide you wouldn't bother taking them, but you'd usually be up on these at high tide. If there is some, sometimes you just have to cross the water. And there's our camp off to the right there. Can't remember what we stopped in for. I think we had to quickly change ollie. And then we shoot down to the south side and have a look at the wrecks. There's a speed limit on the island. You're not allowed to drive faster than 60 kilometers. Other than that, there's not really any other rules. Obviously, no drink driving and no exceeding 60 k's an hour. The police are rarely on the island. You'll see them here and there, and they'll occasionally breath test people, but you don't really see them. It's pretty rare to see them. The full driving here is just amazing. It's just non-stop off-roading everywhere you go. Probably trying to work out whether I should head down to the beach or stay on the track. I think we realised that this area is passable at high tide, so we go back down to the beach. Yeah, the west side is this is where the barge lands, so there's plenty of space through here at high tide. Even at low tide, it's like a highway. It's massive. You'll often see people sliding down these hills on boogie boards or cardboard boxes. You get some speed going down these sand dunes, or an esky lid. Because we only have highway terrain tyres on, I wanted to put some all-terrains on, but I didn't get around to it. I did the bull bar and canopy, and we didn't get around to putting the all-terrains on. But the highway terrain tyres were fine. They don't have as strong as a sidewall as the all-terrain tyres, so you just have to be careful for sticks and logs and things like that. Because you're at low PSI, like 15 PSI, you just got to be careful of things puncturing your sidewalls of your tyre. Just try to watch out for logs and rocks on the beach. So there's the wrecks off to the right there. Really good fishing spot. I did try my luck here late at night, at about 9 at night, and I was getting lots of bites, but I didn't land anything. There's just so much weed through here. Like every time you wind your line in, it's ripping a meter of seaweed off your line. It's very annoying. That's one thing I wish I did more of when I was on the island, was more fishing. So we're going to come down here to a dead end, and it's private property, and there's a resort there now. In the last 10-15 years, they've put a resort in there. And when I was a kid, there wasn't a resort there. This was all just camping only, but now in the last, I don't know, 15 years, they put a resort in there, and you'll see when the barge pulls in, heaps of backpackers and Japanese people will walk off the ferry and then walk down to the resort. They don't even take a vehicle. And they get driven around on like buses on the island. Times are changing. Now Moreton Island's an attraction. It used to just be a very secluded campground. For driving and fishing and camping. So I think we're coming up on the dead end here. I didn't know that this was private property now, and you can't cross here anymore. And there it is, there's the dead end. Private property. Moreton Island sold out. So back on the inland tracks. And this is us taking a look at the sand dunes and the desert down on the south side. The dunes here are insane. It's just monstrous sand dunes. So we took a look there for a while, and then we headed back inland. And there's some pretty rough tracks through here. This was definitely a really fun drive through here. Lots of rainwater. It hadn't rained in about 2 days, so if you came to the island when it was raining, these all these puddles would be a lot deeper. There was actually one point on the island where I got a warning on my dash for water in the intake. So I haven't got a snorkel on the Hilux yet, and I'd gotten too much water into the intake, and I had to take the air filter out and then dry the airbox out with a towel, and there was all foam inside the airbox from where the engine was sucking salt water and foam through into the engine, so definitely not good. I had to dry all that out and then let the intake sit in the sun for about 10 minutes, and then we're good to go. Gonna have to get a snorkel before the next trip, I think, definitely. I'm thinking Fraser Island next for our next camping trip. I think some cars come up ahead here. You gotta be very careful because there's lots of blind corners and it's two-way, and people just fly through here, and you can easily run into someone if you're both not paying attention and driving at a reasonable speed. Back at camp again. That's pretty much the video, gentlemen. Just a quick look around Moreton Island. Really good fishing, really good forward driving. I know most of my viewer base is from America and the UK and stuff, so show you guys some sights over just off Queensland in Australia.